What's going on out there, friends and family? Thanks so much for tuning into your soul mapping astro weather report for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019. I'm Thomas, and the Astral Weather Report is where I synthesize aspects of astrology in the 64 hologenetic archetypes to give you a better idea of some of the energies that will be at play today, from the genetic all the way up to the cosmic levels.
It is the only consistent truth that there is fate is our fault.
Well, definitely going to be feeling a big shift in positive energy today. The sun comes into Leo, and not only that, we have a big fire trine between Mars, Jupiter, and the moon, all in these fire signs. The moon's making its way through Aries today, so this can honestly, not to mention these shifts into all this fire energy, but with some of the codes going on, this can feel kind of like wham, like some things are just coming out of nowhere, and we're shifting in a new dimension, in a new energy, in a new light, in a new spark and fire coming within us or being delivered to us. And it kind of could seem like out of nowhere. It's like, where did this come from? First of all, the sun and the earth have moved on to the 56.5 and the 60.5. So this is definitely some sort of solution or some sort of practicality kind of birthing out of this balance between, what really stimulates us on an emotional level, and also what's really going to be the best for us to create realistic structures that are actually going to house these directions we want to go, where we feel comfortable, and kind of being able to balance kind of this old world structures and the old way of doing things that are based on like status and climbing the ladder, and these new ways that are going to give us that more comfort and nurturing that we want, this new creative direction of creating, much more emotionally satisfying life. We're definitely being delivered or coming up with some sort of solution in that balance today. So the Mars is going to move on to the 7.1, and it's going to trine over to the moon on the 21.6, and Jupiter will be on the 5.4 now. This is definitely synchronistic here as this fire trine comes into play. Jupiter's just moved onto the 5.4, and Mars has just moved on to the 7.1. So with the moon on the 21.6, though, this is really saying that we're being objective, or the need to be objective, when it comes to, being delivered some sort of authority or control. We want to be mindful of really being objective about how we're trying to control the situation, because this trine is happening over to Jupiter on the 5.4. So there's definitely an opportunity for a new adventure if we have the patience to realize that, if we can find that fire within to lead ourselves in this new direction, or perhaps some sort of leader is coming into our life to help kind of like usher in this new creative project, this new spiritual direction, this new fire within us. And we need to be objective, though, because there's still some sorts of timing things involved. And if we are mindful of, that place of authority and control within, where we can really be in control of our emotions and our desires, and realize that there's a very important timing in play, that it's like, if we take that opportune moment, it's really going to ensure the development and survival of this creative endeavor, this new direction that's coming into play. So we want to be mindful of that, being mindful to really take that initiative to lead ourselves, but being also mindful of how it's all going to play out, because we also have Mercury conjuncting Venus today, or starting to conjunct Venus. Mercury will be on the 56.1, Venus on the 62. And what this is really saying is, whatever this is that's coming in, we want to pay attention to the details of the language, of the integrity of the language. We're really looking at, as we come into these new states of value, these things that, whether it's self-value, or maybe we're just looking at what is the true value of this thing, the details in the language, how it's being presented. As we move forward, we want to make sure that we are presenting ourselves and our energy in a way that's very precise, so that, these ideas and concepts in this new story that we're developing, these ways that we can stimulate ourselves or others, are really crafted with integrity in this way that we are going to attract that we need, or that it's going to show the value that it truly has, or we can understand the value of what's coming to us, what it truly has. Now, the moon is going to square over to Saturn today. Saturn just moved on to the 54.2, and the moon will be on the 51. And this could be all about, this new energy that's kind of coming in. We could be in a bit of a shock about it. We could also, with the 54.2 at play with Saturn there, we could be kind of shocked maybe at maybe some level of greed, or maybe we could feel kind of like emotional of like, am I really going to step in this direction? Is it okay to take this level of like, being sort of selfish in a way? But it's like, whatever is happening is going to elevate our status, and it's going to elevate our ability to really rise up in different ways, especially rise up in being able to have the things that we really want. But it's like maybe the challenge is really, it's like, do we feel completely okay with, that level of like taking for ourselves? Or, maybe it could be the other way around, where we're delivered a little bit of greediness, but we're stepping into this new project. So it's like, well, maybe that's okay, because it really is worth the amount of value after we looked into these different details. Or, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe as we're coming into this point of Mercury conjuncting Venus, and we realize our own value, and we're coming up with this very valuable structure, maybe we take the possibility of being taking a little bit more for ourselves that we really deserve, because we also have Vesta that's making this aspect on the 2. It's trining over to Jupiter, and this is really saying that this new direction that we are leading ourselves in is really going to give us a lot more self-sovereignty. It really is going to give us a lot more sovereignty and control when it comes to the material planes. It's like, greed has its higher aspects. The 54, where Saturn is, it's all about ascending and rising to higher up levels. Now, when it goes into its lower vibration, it can be greed when we're doing these things just for ourselves. But with all of this trine going on, and the aspects that have been leading us in this new direction of this spiritual mission and journey, sometimes these things can come in where it's like, maybe we have to do something that is a little bit more about the money, because it's going to fuel this new spiritual creative direction that we're leading ourselves in. And it's really all about finding that balance. So lastly, I'm going to tap into the cards to see what's the overarching energy that we can tune into to help us move through some of these very positive, powerful directions. Now, last thing I want to say is, this is just the beginning of this energy with this grand fire trine, Mars, Jupiter, and the moon. The sun's come into Leo now. It's going to be making its trine over to Jupiter, then Venus later on, and finally Mercury after it goes retrograde. So it's a lot of positive energy here. A lot of be mindful of what's coming in today, because this is a signal about a lot of changes that are coming in over the next coming weeks as we get into August. And we get gate 28, preponderance of the gate, the great game player. So I feel like what this is saying is, whatever this direction is, whatever the shock that, this fire that's coming in to lead us somewhere, it's like we need to understand that there may be some risks involved in it. It is going to be something that will probably lead us to connecting to our purpose. But, when we step forward into these places of connecting to our purpose, there are risks that happen, right? Because anything worth having is going to have risk inherent into it. So keep that mindful today, but also be mindful. We want to be aware that somebody could be playing some games with us, or that we could have to be tactful in how we navigate this situation. So hope this has been helpful for you. As always, tap into your innermost authority. See if it feels right for you. Press that share button, and thanks for tuning in.